Good day, my friends. I hope today finds you doing some things that matter most to you. I came across this quote the other day. I'm curious what you think of it. The quote is this: I try to please everybody in every way. What do you think of that? You might think, well, that's impossible. Don't even try to do that. You might even have some value against a quote like that it sounds like you're being really wishy-washy or a people pleaser. You're not standing up for yourself. Well, do you know who said this quote? I'll continue reading it. Maybe it'll give you a clue. I try to please everybody in every way, for I'm not seeking my own good, but the good of many. Who does that sound like? You might say, oh, it sounds like Jesus. Well, it's not Jesus exactly, but it is the greatest interpreter of Jesus, the Apostle Paul. It's found in his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 33. In this part of his letter, Paul is explaining that as a follower of Jesus, a person ought to limit their own freedom or privilege for the sake of others. Then Paul says this. I'm going to begin the quote again. I try to please everybody in every way, for I'm not seeking my own good, but the good of many, so that they may be saved. Follow my example as I follow the example of Jesus. So in some way it was Jesus, but it was the example that Paul saw in Jesus and that Paul was trying to imitate himself. There's a lesson for us here, that we are to live more for others than for ourselves, that we are to limit ourselves and even our freedoms or privileges for the benefit of others. That sounds like a very unpopular thought these days, when we value, and it seems like in an increasing way, value our freedoms and our privileges over and against others at times. And yet what the Apostle Paul is teaching, what he saw exemplified in the teaching and life of Jesus, was to love others as Jesus has loves us, to live for others more than for ourselves. And that may mean at times limiting our freedom or privileges for the sake of others. Someone may say, well, you can't please everyone. Okay, that's probably true. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't still try to do that for their sake and for the sake of letting them know who Jesus is, the Savior who sacrificed himself for their sake, that limited himself for their sake, for all our sakes. If we're going to exemplify Jesus, if we're going to be Jesus to others, it really means we need to take seriously the way Jesus lived and the way Jesus taught. We can't simply say, well, that's Jesus. Who can be Jesus? Jesus intends for us to follow his example. And the greatest interpreter of Jesus, the Apostle Paul, that's what he tried to do, to be like Jesus to others. So, I try to please everybody in every way. That's a good ethic to try to accomplish. I hope that's encouraging you today in how you interact with others and do what matters most. Have a great day.